Don't you dare come to the funeral! Turn around and come back right now! On my way to my father-in-law's funeral, I answered a call from my husband and, shocked, I pulled the car over to the side of the road. My name is Catherine. I am 45 years old. I work as a banker, have always been dedicated to my career, and have always enjoyed my single life without any plans for marriage. Banking, as many say, is a tough job. Handling large amounts of cash and foreign currency daily, there's no room for even a 10-cent discrepancy. The need for accuracy can be physically and mentally draining. Yet I found joy and pride in satisfying our clients and led a fulfilling life. However, everything changed when I met a man 8 years ago. Catherine, I was moved by your sincere approach to work. Would you consider a relationship with marriage in mind with me? His name is Tommy. 3 years my senior, he worked for a major trading company and became my client when he opened a new bank account. He proposed a serious relationship, but at nearly 40 and unwilling to leave my banking career, I decided to start dating. Our relationship began with weekend dates, and about a year later, we started living together. Before I knew it, I turned 40. Initially, Tommy talked about marriage, but after 2 years of living together, the topic faded. At 40, curious about Tommy's thoughts, I brought up marriage and was shocked by his revelation. "Why did you keep it a secret?" I blurted out in disbelief. Tommy had a divorce history with 3 children from his previous marriage and was still paying child support until they became adults. Confronting him about keeping this from me, he said, "I was planning to tell you after you accepted my proposal." Left speechless, I found myself losing reasons to marry, especially when Tommy suggested, "Why bother with marriage? People get divorced anyway. Aren't we practically a married couple? I don't plan to leave, Catherine. Why not continue as we are?" Indeed, we'd been a couple for years without major issues, so I agreed to continue our relationship without marriage. Months later, Tommy's phone rang, and after a brief frown at the screen, he answered. "What? My son is in a facility?" A call from a mutual acquaintance of his ex-wife revealed that she had neglected their children, and they were concerned for the kids' welfare. Tommy, troubled, said, "She's neglecting our kids. But I can't manage everything alone. It's tough to balance work and parenting." Sensing his dilemma, I pondered and then suggested, "Tommy, let's take in the children. I'll help. We can live together as a family." Though I never had children and the likelihood of me bearing any was slim, I was willing to help raise his children, who I already loved. Tommy, grateful, said, "Thank you, Catherine." And I could see the relief in his eyes as I held his trembling hand. "Nice to meet you, Michael. I'm Catherine. We're family now. Welcome." "Nice to meet you, too." Michael, the youngest son, shyly greeted us. His elder brothers, already employed with company dorms after high school, couldn't live with us, but asked us to take care of Michael. So we decided to live with 6-year-old Michael, just starting elementary school. Michael, malnourished and smaller than his peers, carried a large backpack. "What shall we have for dinner today?" Now a family of 3, I decided to dote on Michael like my own son. I attended school events and made his favorite meals, actively participating in parenting. "I want to go to the zoo tomorrow." "Sure, tomorrow it's just you and me to the zoo. Dad's working." At first, Michael called me Catherine with shyness, but before I knew it, he started calling me Mom, and to outsiders, we must have looked like a real mother and son. "So, Tommy, this weekend I'll be taking Michael to the zoo. I'll borrow your car, okay?" "Yeah, just don't scratch it, please." Tommy owned 2 cars, one for commuting and another for his hobby, which I always borrowed for outings with Michael. One day, as Michael and I were driving, he suddenly said, "I love going out with you, Mom." I was moved to tears. After living with Michael for over 6 months, he had grown to love me like his real mother, which made me very happy, but also brought a sense of unease. If we're going to raise him, we should make it official, right? If we go through the adoption, we'll be a real family. The idea of marriage, once so unimportant to me, had grown into a strong desire. So I took the plunge and said, "We've gotten along well with Michael. Maybe it's time to visit your parents, Tommy." I casually mentioned this to my husband one night after he returned from work and after Michael had fallen asleep. However, his response was nothing like I expected. "Wait! What are you talking about all of a sudden? I'm the only one with a divorce in the family. How can I tell my parents about my common-law wife and raising my ex-wife's kids? My parents are billionaires and very strict. I don't want to upset them. I'm sorry, but can we postpone meeting my parents for another time? I was stunned by his loudest voice ever and froze with my jacket in hand. Speechless, I stayed silent, and my husband, in a panic, said, "Look, I'm still busy at work. Let's wait a bit longer. When Michael gets older, I'll introduce you to my parents, I promise." Okay, I accepted his words. I wanted to discuss more, but my husband's loud voice had awakened Michael, so we didn't speak any further about meeting the in-laws that night. However, from that moment I felt a stronger sense of discomfort about his refusal to introduce me to his parents, and at the same time I feared his happiness might be fragile. Then one night, his phone rang. No way! Dad? Although he had always been secretive about his family, the news of his father's death made him open up. What should I do? I still owe Dad money. What about the inheritance? I need to get back home quickly, he murmured to himself, hands clasped and head down. Thinking he was upset about losing his dad, I said, "You might want to sort out your feelings, so I'll sleep with Michael tonight. Let me know if you need anything." As I left the living room with Michael, my husband quickly started making a phone call. After a while, he came over and said, "Sorry for being upset. The funeral's date is set. Can you and Michael stay home?" Really? I thought it was only proper to attend the funeral as his longtime wife, and Michael, being the grandson, should also attend. But my husband said, "We're keeping the funeral small, just family, so it's okay if you don't come." Then shouldn't I go and help out? Even as I offered help, he replied awkwardly, Well, it wouldn't be right to introduce my girlfriend at the funeral. I'll introduce you another time." Okay, I understand. I obediently agreed, and he seemed relieved. "Thank you. I've got to apply for bereavement leave tomorrow and prepare for the funeral. It's going to be busy." He left the room, but I asked Michael, "Dad said we don't have to go, but should we really not?" And he replied, "You're my mom now, so you should go. Helping out would surely make everyone happy." Michael, wise beyond his years and acknowledging me as his mom, almost brought me to tears. You're right. Dad might object, but let's go in secret to lay some flowers. Yeah. Then, on the day of the funeral, "I'll be going then. Take good care of Michael, okay?" Unaware of my plan, my husband left for the funeral venue in his commuting car. As soon as I confirmed that he had left in his car, I quickly changed into morning attire. "I'll be going too. I'll be back soon, so Michael, please stay home." Okay, got it. Thinking to return right after laying flowers, I got into the car. While driving for about 30 minutes, my mobile phone rang. Answering the call through the car's hands-free system, it was my husband. "Hello, what's up? Where the heck are you going right now?" How did you know I was on the move?" "What do you mean, how? The car's GPS is moving. Where are you going at this time?" It turned out my husband had installed a theft prevention GPS in his beloved car and had noticed my movements towards the funeral venue, prompting him to call in a panic. "I'm sorry, I knew you didn't want me to go, but I didn't want to cause any trouble, but I really wanted to attend my father-in-law's funeral. Of course, I'll just lay flowers and come straight back. I won't cause any trouble." "No way!" my husband yelled at me harshly. "Don't you dare come to the funeral! Turn around and come back right now!" Feeling something was amiss, I stopped the car. Every time I expressed my desire to meet his family, my husband would react negatively, so I was sure there must be a reason. His adamant refusal prompted me to snap back somewhat spitefully. "Tommy, what's going on? Why is it so bad for me to lay flowers? Or is there still something you're hiding?" Then my husband said, "It's really bad. Actually, this funeral venue is very dangerous. If you come, you might be harmed." "What do you mean by that?" Then my husband began to explain, albeit reluctantly. Apparently, my father-in-law was a well-known billionaire locally, and his death had stirred up inheritance disputes among family members. And for some reason, the will mentioned that I, as his common-law wife, had a right to inherit. "That's why it's bad for the relatives to know about you, let alone introduce you. Some of them might get violent. They're all blinded by money and not in their right minds. If you show up, there's no guarantee for your safety. Moreover, the will contained various other stipulations, causing a commotion at the funeral venue, which had already escalated into a brawl. Then I'll just decline the inheritance. I'm heading for the funeral venue now. As I was about to restart the engine and head to the venue, my husband said, "Wait, what about Michael? Is he with you?" "Michael is at home." "Then go back home immediately. Some angry relatives who are unhappy with the will might be heading there to cause trouble." "What?" Feeling a chill run through me at his words, I immediately drove home. "Michael, where are you? Are you okay? Has anyone come here?" I rushed into the living room. "What's up, Mom? You're back early. Is it over already?" There was Michael, watching TV and doing his homework. I hugged him tightly in relief. "Whoa, Mom, that's tight. What's wrong?" "I'm so glad. Let's head to the police station. The funeral venue is in chaos. Get in the car." Having confirmed Michael's safety, I realized that someone might come to our home with malicious intent. I decided to act before anything happened, getting Michael into the car and driving to the nearest police station. "Please help! There's trouble at my father-in-law's funeral. You need to go there immediately." As I appealed tearfully to the officer, "Ma'am, please calm down." The officer who greeted us repeatedly spoke to me, helping me to calm down. Moreover, the officers, having heard about the brawl at the funeral, immediately arranged for patrol cars to head to the scene. Following my car, 3 patrol cars headed back to the funeral venue where Tommy was. Upon arrival, the officers led the way inside. Surprisingly, the building was quiet, and as the officers and I made our way into the hall, what in the world is going on? Incredibly, the funeral was proceeding smoothly without any disturbance. Relatives in the back noticed us with the police and started murmuring, "Where's the brawl? The inheritance dispute?" I was utterly confused. The atmosphere was calm and no aggressive individuals were in sight. Looking around in bewilderment, I spotted my husband Tommy in the back. Tommy? Standing next to my mother-in-law Kayla, an elderly woman, was Tommy, with a young and beautiful woman in her 20s by his side. This woman, visibly pregnant, was talking to my husband in a familiar manner. "Tommy!" As I called out loudly, Tommy noticed me and instantly turned pale. "Catherine, why are you here? I told you to stay home because it's dangerous." "Who's Catherine, Tommy? Don't make me run when I'm 8 months pregnant." The pregnant woman clung to my husband's arm and hurried over with him. "Who are you? I'm Tommy's common-law wife." "Excuse me? I'm Tommy's wife. What's this older woman with a kid talking about?" "Quiet, Marie." "Catherine, I'll explain later. Just go home now." Marie, the woman Tommy called by name, was obviously pregnant and familiar with him, leaving me to feel numb and detached. Then I raised Michael's hand high, making sure everyone around could hear. "I'll say it again. I am Tommy's common-law wife, and we've taken in Michael from his previous wife, now living as a family of 3. As I declared this, the pregnant woman's face turned bright red. "That's a lie!" She started to cause a scene. As she got agitated and began to thrash about, I worried for the baby inside her when another woman approached. "Wait, Marie. What she's saying is not a lie." Kayla emerged from behind my husband, crouched in front of us, and hugged Michael. "Michael, you've grown. Now, Tommy, explain about these ladies." Kayla's piercing gaze at my husband froze the room, including the officers. In the silent room, my husband, in desperation, confessed. "Yes, I'm married to Marie here, and we're expecting a baby in the spring. Catherine is just a woman I kept around to cook while I was on business trips. She's too old to bear children, but since the kid from my previous marriage got attached to her, I thought she was still useful. I initially approached her to learn more about making money, but when that didn't work out and the chance came to take in the child, I just used that." His confession left me in tears. While I was older and couldn't hope for pregnancy, the realization that he led a double life just to use me filled me with an indescribable sorrow. Hearing this, Kayla erupted in fury. "Kept her? Stop it! Your last divorce was because of your infidelity. Dad paid for the child support and settled for the 3 kids, and yet you shamelessly cheated again. You're disowned. I'll cut off all ties. You won't get a penny of the inheritance. I'll fight you to the end." Hearing Kayla's words, Tommy collapsed to his knees, begging for forgiveness. Realizing my relationship with Tommy was over, but holding Michael's hand, I pondered what would happen next. Sensing this, Michael pleaded, "Catherine, you're the only mom for me. Please don't leave me. I don't want to be apart." Of course, I didn't want to leave him either. Worried about returning him to his biological mother and knowing Tommy would soon have a new baby, I informed him I would take Michael. Then Tommy said, "Really? You'll take him? Lucky me." Tommy's callous remark as he further scolded Kayla left me utterly dismayed. Later, I legally became Michael's parent, and Kayla gave me the money Tommy was supposed to receive as child support from the inheritance. Tommy's wrongdoings became known among the relatives, and he was labeled a disgrace to the family. In the spring, the baby was born safely, but things didn't work out, and they are currently in the midst of divorce proceedings. The young wife, Marie, was after Tommy's wealth, but once disowned by the billionaire family and without any inheritance, Tommy became worthless to her. Ultimately, Tommy's share of his father's inheritance vanished, used for Michael's child support and repaying the settlement from his previous divorce, which his parents had covered. The little money left went towards the support of his new child. Moreover, his affair became known at his company, leading to his demotion for disrupting company morale, resulting in a drastic pay cut. He now lives in a cheap apartment, probably struggling with the stress of his changed circumstances. Years have passed. Then, "Mom, my wife and I are having a baby." Michael, who I adopted as my son, graduated from medical school and is now a respected doctor. He married a fellow surgeon at the same hospital, and next summer, my first grandchild will be born. Raising a child is a huge responsibility, but I enjoyed parenting, and now, with my family growing, I am grateful for the happy life I lead. I dream of living long enough to attend my grandchild's wedding.